He's going with a Reinhardt on attack Numbani. That's very unorthodox. We'll see how it works out. I think with this comp, they're going to go for the high ground control on the top left.
I guess they're kind of going to walk themselves up there to a degree. They do have hymzi on the D.Va to accompany zappis if they do want to go deep and try and forge themselves at least some dive opportunities. But right now, it's kind of knocking on the front door. Zappa's going to go in now. A little bit of early damage. Immediately body grenaded out here for Rogue. And now a bit of a brawl will break out.
Seeing if they can get behind into the other side of Numbani. NiP have gone for a really big rat play, actually. Diving to the back, they found winz. That was what they were doing around there. Back at the statue, the fountain, they find the Lucio. With that taken down, that's quite an opening for them. If they can get the high ground now, they're in a great position.
They can actually spread out on both sides back of this point here. And you can see AKM has been very careful about peeking out. uNKOE went very low, has that Orb of Discord on him now as well, and Soon's just trying to accost his attackers right now. NiP have set up. zappis wants to get in the face of AKM. This is a titanic battle if I've ever seen one, but zappis does pull the plug a little bit early. And with KnOxXx and winz managing to get hymzi out of that suit, it might be Struggle Town here with Fragi very low.
AKM has fallen, but Rogue should be able to stabilize this one. NiP, they took position, but they weren't able to actually convert that into kills, and they don't have the ability to do long-distance damage unless they get mafu in a great position, and Zuppehw was picked immediately as well. So the reason why Winston D.Va comps with a lot of mobility is so useful on Numbani is you can go from side to side. You can just kite your enemies by flying over to the other side, and it's a fairly large point. It's just a dip in the middle.
AKM again. Will be setting up back on the high ground. Immediately has to start firing his weapon, of course, because NiP are once again knocking on the door. Soon we go with the pulse bomb. The extra damage was there, and Fragi's going to fall down. Soon doesn't need to forge any further ahead. That one pick has stopped NiP in their tracks.
Something that we saw as well from Rogue was pretty good ultimate usage when they were playing against eUnited. Something that led them down a little in Korea, perhaps, but maybe they've worked on it. They haven't really been investing that much in all of these fights. Perhaps it's just simply because they haven't needed to as well. But they've got a lot to work with here. Nano Visor potential, or a Nano Blade, but zappis with one of his own. Up top, found 2-3 already. Huge plays coming out from the Finnish Genji as he tears through them, exactly what NiP needed.
Both supports and AKM going down. You really can't ask for too much more than that. And zappis, who's a self-proclaimed newcomer to Genji, said he only had to pick it up in the last couple of months. And people have definitely questioned his performances. Definitely worked out there. A Dragon Blade in time saves 9. Didn't even need the Nano Boost. Nicely done.
Only had to use 2 ultimates to manage to take that as well. Now they're in a decent position to storm forwards. Rogue didn't really use anything in response, apart from the Primal Rage, but they're getting these stagger picks, and now NiP can start moving forwards. They've got Fragi as well in the front line, and both of their support ultimates up.
I'm curious what happened there, because there must be like some miscommunication on the scouting front, because they had a Nano Visor for the Blade, but they didn't manage to get it off. He just appeared in their face with the Blade and was too late by them.
It's almost like zappis prevented line of sight from being gained on him as he just maybe climbed up the side and came straight in.
Played from zappis.
And it does have an activation time as well for AKM and uNKOE to pop that one off. In comes a Dragon Blade off their own though, countered by a Transcendence.
KnOxXx going to pretty comfortably take down NiCO despite that one. The Transcendence was there, but of course a Nano Blade can cut through that. Rogue now starting to set their feet a little bit more, but Fragi lays the hammer down right in front of Soon. The damage is going to be there, but it's just that one kill. In the meantime, KnOxXx had hit the backline on towards Zuppehw. Not much can do. It was a trade despite that Earthshatter being committed to the fight.
Fragi can fly, apparently. He gets booped up in the air there. But he's the front line of defense, and he really can't play that aggressively. hymzi throwing in a self-destruct. Actually picks uNKOE. That's a massive pick for the team. Huge amount of health. Now removed from the side of Rogue. And they're all fighting. A big brawl on the cart as they try and get as much as they can out of it.
That's Soon just now trying to chunk some damage in towards hymzi and get rid of that defense matrix. It's a real pain in the neck when he's trying to get this damage down. Someone's whispering in Soon's ear. Got him in his sights, and it is, of course, mafu coming in with the tactical visor. Now just checking for any stragglers. But NiP were able to push their way through that fight. And really, I mean, Anna's mobility makes her so susceptible to a fairly well set up self-destruct from a D.Va.
Absolutely. He's taken the opportunity to move over to Zen as well. Not that much better mobility, but definitely going to be playing from opportunities where he should be able to get himself in a safer position. Here's another Blade coming out from zappis, but there's opportunities here for them to answer it, and they've been able to shut it down fairly quickly. NiP didn't really have anything to go alongside the Blade.
I mean, just to look at the last fight, hymzi has had a transition to D.Va from Roadhog. And that ulti, when he picked up uNKOE, he's been practicing that. He's been dedicating so much to D.Va, and he's actually a really good D.Va player.
It's been working out well for him so far. I always kind of thought hymzi would ultimately be the one that played Genji on NiP. He was the only one that actually had showed it in the past on the brief occasion that they brought it out. But still, zappis has been doing an admirable job so far. He even understood that discretion was the better part of Dragonblade's valor in that last fight. Now NiCO has one of his own. It seems like this game is being defined by Dragonblades. It might be time to see yet another one. He's pretty happy just to sit over the top.
Transcendence replied by the sound barrier as well. NiCO trying to make the difference, seeing if he can get a couple of picks here. Fragi with a Discord orb on him. He's going to get sliced up and served for breakfast, as Rogue completely stopped them in the streets once again, and there's only 1 minute. They're so close to the checkpoint.
They need to push through as well, but not a lot of ultimates sort of on the horizon for NiP. The same, I guess you could be saying for Rogue, but that Transcendence is going to be very important. 2 support ultimates, 2 different support ultimates, of course.
It's going to come down to which support presses the Q button first. Whoever holds onto it the longest is probably going to end up winning the fight.
Interesting. We'll see. It's going to be a battle of nerves there, perhaps, as uNKOE is definitely poised and ready to hit that Transcendence if he needs to.
Poke battle as well, see who can do most damage to the opposing team. Zuppehw's fallen though as well, so that forces it out of kynnel. And there comes the Transcendence from the other side on Rogue. They're starting to get the picks though over on NiP. They're so close to this checkpoint. 30 seconds, 20 left.
Attack fires was pretty important for mafu. Was so low. You knew we had to be careful about coming forward, and uNKOE does punish him. Orbs of destruction are plenty to the face. It's a heck of a lot on zappis' shoulders right now. He needs to do some damage, but comes knocked straight through into the fight there. He and uNKOE now, it was a 2v2, but uNKOE really gave a good account of himself to find kynnel. Now the pulse from going on towards the D.Va, and hymzi can't do much about that. Trying to get some healing from the Orb of Harmony and get away, but he's going to be desuited and ejected from the payload area as well. Fragi off in the distance, I believe that was an Earth Shatter. Doesn't really seem to have amounted to too much here. He charges onto the payload and over time continues.
It's carrying on, but only just. NiCO's mopping up here. He gets out his broom, sweeps away the debris, and that's going to be NiP locked out in the streets. You don't often see teams just get completely stopped before the second checkpoint, especially after they've made so much progress. And they had a more tanky composition, but they just weren't able to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, Fragi is a god on Reinhardt, but this is like the inherent problem with Reinhardt against dive. They're so hard to get a good Earth Shatter off against a good dive team, because you will know when they have the Earth Shatter up. And you just pressure the Reinhardt so he feels forced to use it before he dies, and maybe he gets one and maybe he gets nothing. In this case, I think Monkey could have started better to get the high ground control and deny AKM soldier up top. Could have worked out.
I can see as well a couple of situations where Fragi is very much being split away from the rest of his team as well. I'm being forced to turn 180 and deal with, you know, a Tracer and, you know, a Genji sort of nipping at his heels. And the problem is sometimes in this situation when you're playing against dive, the best you can hope for, like the ideal Earth Shatter basically turns into, can I get both supports on the ground?
Yeah, or the Tracer in the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you can get the Tracer, that's okay. But obviously, it's a big ultimate. You want as much value as possible, but it's so hard to get off.
I think another problem as well is that NiP were kind of split between going for a super tanky, like triple tank composition and keeping zappis on a DPS role of either the Tracer or the Genji, and going for something with a bit more mobility and damage. Because if you've got the Reinhardt D.Va, the D.Va is just trying to relieve pressure most of the time there from Fragi as well.
Just prolong the shield life as well.
Yeah, and can't help mafu try and get control over the high ground, or even zappis. So in the end, mafu was just sat on the low ground behind the shield, kind of ineffective, not really able to take position. So they were caught in between two worlds. Maybe if mafu had instead gone to a tank and they'd gone for like a full triple tank, they might have seen more value out.
We saw this on Hanamura actually as well, and that Zuppehw was forced to use Transcendences to protect mafu while he was using his tactical visor, because he was forced to sit behind a Reinhardt shield, which made him quite a, I guess, a susceptible target here. But Rogue now going to be on the attacking side here. NiP, this composition, they bring the Torbjorn in. What are your thoughts, Whoosh?
It can work. If you win the first fight, you can snowball it. But we'll see. They don't have a Pharah right now. They might switch to it. AKM might go Pharah. We'll see how this first fight goes, though.
They're not running a D.Va as well, so it's not like you can just eat up all the damage with the defense matrix and then try and go into it. They have to get a really good dive here if they want to win the first fight. There's a huge amount of damage already coming out onto NiP, but KnOxXx is the first casualty. And with the tank gone, they're not really going to be able to contest here.
There's no initiator there for Rogue as well. They really just have to sit back, and NiCO might try and harass, and maybe you can get some free damage. I mean, ideally for him, it's mid to long range poke with shurikens to get that next Dragon Blade. He uses that ultimate of his own volition. It's not necessarily him being told to go for it. It's just a matter of him trying to make the difference in the fight.
Still no switch up from their composition, seeing if they can make it work. They've scouted it out though now. They know exactly where it is, and the Torbjorn falls immediately. That's the turret down as well. They've used their nano boost over on NiP to keep Fragi alive and stall the points, but not really getting too much pressure on any of the squishy targets.
Swoosh, that just fell apart completely for NIP.
Yeah, they just hit the flip. I didn't really see what happened, but they presumably found the Torbjorn, and they just dived in with the Discord, and he just got blown up. They're so good at seeing if someone's out of position, and I think that's what happened. They saw a target, and they just dived in, and it was done.
They were absolutely clinical when they were playing against the United as well. They seem to be excellent at biding their time and being utterly patient until an opportunity presents itself. They don't seem to just try and leap in out of nowhere. They always have a plan.
Well, I don't wonder what the plan is for NIP now. NiCO's found that Dragon Blade and it has left it sheathed. zappis walks straight into that as well. uNKOE just dishes him death with the Orb of Discord, sorry, the Orb of Destruction shot towards the head. Pretty much the same thing. Discord of Destruction is what's being sown here in the NIP ranks, and Rogue is sailing on a crash course with the finish.
It's going to be a stagger. Someone has to touch the payload real fast there.
They've got Fragi with the Primal Rage as well, just to buy time for the rest of their team to get in position. But both supportals have also been used. Real dire straits here for NIP. And the Pulse Bomb up top takes out mafu, so they don't even have the damage on top.
And the high ground control as well is not going to be present. Fragi going to have to try and use that Primal Rage, but guess who's up there? AKM, and it don't matter. It's going to be Rogue getting across the line. 4 minutes and 10 seconds they had. Didn't even get to the next checkpoint. That is definitely an utter demolition. And NIP, again, a shadow of their former selves, but we should have known. It's been a long time since then, and Rogue have been up against some quality opposition to keep their edge sharp.
They're so good at...
What's either the best for them or the worst for Rogue, and Sanctum is pretty good for them.
And Nepal overall, I think, is one of the strongest King of the Hill for tank comps, especially Sanctum. So this is probably the best chance NIP has got to make this tank comp work.
We'll see now, hymzi on the Roadhog as well, something we really haven't seen a lot of today at all. Still though, double DPS, zappis and mafu going to be playing for that role, and again, no surprises from Rogue. I don't know why we even mentioned it, but to start with, zappis finds uNKOE. Something he struggled to do in the earlier game for NIP was to assassinate the enemies in Yata.
Great flank from him to be able to open things up. mafu as well. As soon as they lose a single pick, they're losing so much damage and healing from themselves. NIP are able to work this one forward. hymzi manages to save himself there only on 60 health. We really haven't seen that many Roadhogs. As you were saying, hymzi used to be an absolute god tier Roadhog, but there's been a couple of changes since then. It's also much more difficult to stay alive when you've got so much damage on the opposing team and so little mobility yourself.
Avoiding that damage, all you can really try and do is recoup it and take a breather you don't do every now and then. So you can see Fragi's working off this right side himself mostly. Fire Strikes would like to have that Earth Shatter ready to roll when Rogue want to try and engage, but uNKOE falls first again, this time to kynnel. He's down, soon gets himself on towards the point, but it's all about NIP right now, and this fight zappis onto AKM. mafu finding wins over that fight. Of course, a panorama just for good measure. NIP looking quite confident here on Sanctum.
And they've got the tanky composition to be able to hold really close. They can just put Fragi and hymzi over one side, see if they get a hook as they're trying to engage. Any hook is going to take down pretty much any target over on Rogue as well, and is also super good against KnOxXx. So they've got the ultimates now as well, just to keep the pressure up and lock Rogue out.
zappis and KnOxXx trade each other out, but Fragi may not have realized that someone's stuck into the backline here. It's a Tracer. The Pulse Bomb goes down, but Fragi manages to avoid most of the damage. It's the Earth Shatter in response, but that doesn't find a heck of a lot either. He does find AKM, a key part of Rogue's setup here, but NiCO's already on the point, showing his own form of chaos, but at least off towards the left side, NIP managed to regroup in that fight.
Look, for a moment there, like NiCO was going to be able to steal it out from under them. But instead, NIP falling back to the point. They've managed to get 75% pretty much.
zappis is doing a great job on the left side alone. It's a really hard position to play. You're alone, you have the scout, and sometimes there can be 6 people rushing in your face. And he's been picking someone off. And even though he died last time, he traded with a pulse bomb on a key target as well. So he's playing really well right now.
Traded at the Winston, of course, and KnOxXx, we can see how crucial, I guess, he is towards Rogue, especially if they want to start a fight just like this one. Straight back over onto the point. Now the tack fires are available from mafu. This is going to hurt soon. Walks straight into it. What can you do? hymzi also getting the whole hog on towards KnOxXx, and mafu just getting kill after kill. Easy enough. AKM tries to respond with his own tack fires here, and it may not be too late. He and uNKOE, the dynamic duo, combined for 3.
That's unbelievable. winz uses his sound barrier as well, and they stay alive and are able to buy time for the spawners. I thought that was all dead and gone, but uNKOE saving it from nowhere. Manages to get the pick onto hymzi as well with a couple of headshots. That's unreal play from him. zappis is trying to bring it back, but this is into overtime. It's carrying on. It looks like Rogue are eventually going to flip it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be the case. They do have the point that two players against the entirety of NIP. uNKOE came up with 3 kills in that fight. AKM had attack fires and hit less targets. We could talk about the beautiful tracking meme as much as we like, but uNKOE was definitely on form.
He certainly was. zappis is also really neutralizing Soon in this as well. By playing around this right-hand side now from Soon's perspective, he really hasn't been able to get too many flanks because he has to deal with zappis every time. And look at that again, just utterly ignores Soon and goes in for the pick on the Lucio. He's playing amazingly.
The improvement from zappis over his last 2 matches has been palpable, at least from what we've seen so far. But it wouldn't be a rogue fight without uNKOE finding a key target, and Fragi has fallen. He's low, but Soon is the distraction. uNKOE sat behind a defense matrix, and then it was Soon from behind. A D-suited Diva ain't going to be able to do much here, and hymzi can only really just await his fate. AKM is more than happy to let that be expedited as he drops off the edge. And now it's 47. Rogue are bringing this back. They've got some big ultimates there. Attack Pfizer for AKM and the Dragon Blade for NiCO.
They can try and come back in. They've got the Transcendence. If Fragi can find a couple of targets here, it'll be absolutely pivotal for them. But it's so difficult when they've got such a spread out composition. Could be key though. Very difficult to switch this one over, especially against the DPS ultimates.
I like to see them speed in and use the Shatter and Transcendence offensively. Try to get the Soldier and the Genji, because they should know they have their ultimates up.
That's the Transcendence right there, switch now as well. zappis just gets his Pulse Bomb online, but they've lost Fragi really early in the fight. Fragi, who had the Earth Shatter that could have ended all of this tomfoolery, but instead Rogue turned it back around pretty comfortably there as well. Big contributions from all their players. Nox, of course, assisting. I think it was a knockoff at hymzi.
And they're gonna stagger in. They don't have a fast comp.
Oh, this is disastrous.
Yeah, they don't have the mobility to be able to get back in here. 91%. Is there even going to be anybody? Surely zappis is going to be able to come in and touch the point. They have made it here. But 3 ultimates on the side of Rogue.
99 now. There's no going back. NiCO, Dragon Blade surely going to have to come out here, and he's been backed up by Nox quite nicely. 2 kills already. One with a switch strike, and uNKOE again finds Fragi. This Reinhardt finds no solace from the Zenyatta. The Orbs of Destruction chase him all over the map, and hymzi will be desuited. He will be demarked, and that will be the overtime ticking down. Rogue take the first round despite NIP having such a strong start.
That was unreal. The pivotal moment there is just where they use winz sound barrier and uNKOE just frags out, and they suddenly managed to flip a fight that looked like it was all but over, and that would have been 99-0, and they just come back. Both teams fantastic when they're in control of the point, it seems, but Sanctum as well, very difficult to flip because those first chokes that you're coming through are so tight.
What do you say about that? Like, I mean, like, should this happen? Should that be expected to see that kind of explosion from those 2 players go 2v4 and then pretty much put the round on their back?
I mean, it's said that uNKOE is one of the world's best Zenyatas, and he's showing it right now. If you leave him alone and he's free to shoot, in Discord, whatever he wants, he's gonna do work. And that's the thing about this Rogue roster. They're so individually skilled, so they can turn any fight in the blink of a moment.
I mean, both he and AKM are missing their glasses, by the way, which they normally play with. So that just blows my mind in general. AKM's been complaining about it, but still, going fine for them now. We're going to move into Village.
And NiCO on the Diva as well. They've made that switch off. Maywall coming out from zappis. He used to play tons of this back when it was a triple tank meta, or 3+1 with at single DPS. He is actually incredibly good. Look at these icicles coming out, catching Soon in the back. And they managed to take that first one. It's great, particularly on Village, because you can just wall off this top left entrance that almost all of the teams come through.
The architecture's all fairly conveniently designed as well. I mean, what are your thoughts in general about May at the moment, especially on a map like this? I mean, outside of what
it works on this particular map because it's not only the wall, it's also the surprise factor. The enemy team gotta find a solution real fast. And it seems like they're just diving hard right now.
Oh yeah, right now I think Rogue are going to think about the final solution in this one. Trying to come forward, but it's hymzi and Fragi to find their initial kills. You can see hymzi chasing up. He takes responsibility for Nox. He knows he can do probably the most damage to him up close. And NIP are going to hold on here. His ult will be coming around for that next fight.
That's what I'm talking about though. The May pick. They feel forced to do something. They can't go slow. They need to make something happen. Otherwise someone's going to get picked off. So it's a great pick. It kind of forces Rogue's hand a bit. And Rogue, they want to set up their dive. They want to find the right target.
Well, Soon's forcing their hand at the moment by going down onto the point. zappis, I mean, these walls so good on every choke point, including the ones on either side of the point. Because you can get people down there. That was another shatter going down from Fragi, but he's getting picked immediately. uNKOE putting so much damage in. Nox gets the kill in the end. NIP going to be hard-pressed to hold on to this one, perhaps, if Rogue gets started.
Nox taking so much damage already. hymzi, such a thorn on his side, but now the Transcendence going to come out from both sides here, and you can see the NIP taking so much damage. zappis was caught outside of that healing area, and winz is able to take him down pretty comfortably. Doesn't just sit on payloads, ladies and gentlemen, apparently, but now the self-destruct comes on the point, and they can't vacate it quick enough. AKM can sprint. He's still caught by the explosion. hymzi with 2, but Rogue can still turn this around.
It's been an excellent stagger, though. They're up to 80%, 79% already. They need essentially one good flip, and they'll be able to take this particular stage. But that was the same last time. All they had to do was flip it once. They were at 99% the entire time. And after 100 seconds plus overtime, they still weren't able to do it. Rogue now have the high ground, the positioning. The Mei not going to be useful when you're not in control. Zappis switching over to the Tracer.
Attack visor for AKM as well. This could be nasty. It's a sound barrier here actually to start the fight. So Rogue play ahead of that ult. They need to get value now in this fight. They need to accost NiP and get these ultimates working. But AKM not finding much. There's too many shields in his way. Dragon Blade for NiCO coming out, but he's cut down immediately.
This is a great fight for NiP. They baited out the drop the beat, and they killed the Genji Blade immediately, and they followed their own beat. They should win this fight.
They've got a couple of ultimates still up on the side of Rogue, though. The Soldier and the Pulse Bomb. AKM's been forced down. NiP getting a decent play in onto this point. As soon as they're actually into the point on the inside of it, they can play more of that Death Ball style behind Fragi's shield. hymzi gets much more value out of his defense matrix as well. And kynnel as well, obviously, healing everybody up. So it's been a decent situation for them. Surely going to be somebody blocking this from Rogue. 88,
No,
9.
not again. Oh god, it's like career all over again. Fragi, Earthshatter comes down. It's not as effective though as it probably otherwise would have been here. Still, it's a 2-for-2 fight. Fragi though swinging hammer pretty much through the entirety of it, and Zappis has a pulse bomb ready to go, but we're in overtime here. Rogue had to go, they had no other choice, and NiP knew it.
Still overtime ticking down. Rogue lost so many players here. NiP, they looked good when they started out this stage. The Mei worked well for them. So much time on the point, but crucially, they were able to flip it.
Yeah, the Mei pick was really good for NiP. It gave them 70% for free, basically, and they didn't even have the ult advantage when they came back for the retake, but Rogue decided to go aggressive with their Lucy ult, and it didn't quite work out. And they managed to kill the Blading Genji, and then they just dropped their own beat, and it was over from there.
You can see it must be frustrating for AKM there as well, because he's heavily nullified by Fragi's shield, and also you could see how long he just held onto that attack visor. We knew if we can't desuit hymzi, there's just no point in using this ultimate.
Yeah, that ultimate gets no value unless you're able to come from somewhere completely surprised when you're playing into Fragi and then hymzi on the D.Va as well. It's just, it's a counter AKM composition as well. But they played it well. This map, very different though.
Yep, onto Shrine now as well, a little bit more open, as you can see. And for NiP, they're not messing around with Mei early on here. It's going to be the 76 Tracer combo Rogue. Who would have thought? No changes yet. AKM opens up with a beautiful little rocket on towards Zuppehw there, but it's traded out. It's a 5v5 fight right now, but mafu's going to get chased down by Soon. He is in the back line. He is the back line. But hymzi found two himself. He's been chasing down those damage dealers. And it's been all about Rogue right now to flip it like an FA at the start.
Both of the Tracers doing a huge amount of work here. Soon is doing phenomenal damage. While all of the tankier people fight forwards on Ninjas in Pyjamas, Rogue have to back off a little bit, but Soon's just in the back lines farming them. He's getting so much damage, building up those pulse bombs, getting value out of it. It works really well for them.
Soon creates so much space for Rogue. It's especially against tank comps as well, where you know you have the front line with the Reinhardt. You just circumvent that, try to poke them in the back. They have to focus on so many different angles.
Okay, I'm now off towards the side. He knows that this point is being contested right now, but Rogue need to group up. They want to make their way through. They've lost players to both the support on the side of NiP, though. That's a bit concerning. They were split. It looked like they were trying to regroup, but they couldn't find each other. AKM's Discord needs to back away. Maybe no point in using attack in this coming fight, especially with hymzi right in his gob and a punch to the face to send him packing.
They're putting a lot of pressure onto KnOxXx as well here. He's their solo tank. They're not putting NiCO onto the D.Va very often in this fixture in general. And that's a lot of pressure on KnOxXx. He has to be able to set up decent positions, lay down shields in the right area, relieve pressure. And if he's just getting chewed through by both Zuppehw, mafu, and zappis, he's really struggling to stay alive. It makes his barrier placement much worse.
Let's see if Soon tries to bomb the D.Va here so they can get a good visor.
This is something that uNKOE can't do very well. No, he's looking for the Zenyatta. I don't think he's found it. No, the bomb goes awry, and somehow the sprightly monk can actually get away from it. Still, Rogue are not done fighting. They've kind of committed to this to a degree, and yeah, the Transcendence comes in. That's pretty indicative. A sound barrier from NiP, though, makes that early damage a little bit harder to get across the line, but AKM has found Zappis. It's a trade out yet again. The Dragon Blade comes out, but NiCO's not concerned about trying to desuit the D.Va. He's looking for Fragi, the biggest target, possibly with the biggest beard on NiP, but he's happy now with just getting him away from the point as the rest of the fight goes in favor of the French.
They're going to be able to flip this one. Really nice play in their terms of their target selection. They also got Fragi in a really horrible position. Isolated from all of the rest of his team. Felt like he had to relieve pressure by going forwards and doing damage as well. And then just kind of got siphoned off onto a side passage where he had his back metaphorically and literally against the wall.
Zappis now. Early damage not ideal, needed to back away as well. Didn't actually take the health pack to see the Orb of Harmony. That's a big Earth Shadow though, we didn't really see that. It was off screen. Fragi, no, he didn't connect. You gotta hate that. He was booped out of the way and NiCO's just gonna chase him down with shurikens straight into the back of the head. There's no coming back from that one. Point still held by Rogue, but it's a 5v5. And now NIP just need to group up and get there.
Clutch little boop from winz, saving. Was that AKM that was just on the floor?
Not even sure.
Can't save him the whole time though. He's gonna die. They're getting a crucial picks, a couple of deaths here and there. Here comes a Dragon Blade out from NiCO, seeing if he can save it in the final moments for his team. He's got 84% already on the board. They only really need to delay and retake even, but it's still looking like a decent fight for them. They can get more people back in, but not quite able to pick up the health kit.
That was a matter of seconds there as well.
That gives me nightmares whenever Fragi runs at me with a hammer. Scariest thing ever.
The Jason Voorhees of Overwatch, except with more of a blunt object. Still just as effective. Zappis has found 2 over that one there as well. So NIP can retake Rogue. Unfortunately, not able to stall for maybe as long as I would like, but it's 99% anyway, so what am I talking about? It doesn't matter. Just need to come back in for a big fight here. And again, think about hymzi. Think about mitigating his presence here because AKM has attack visor ready to roll.
They're going to want to focus on Nox here when he tries to initiate. If they can put a huge amount of damage on him or even find individual picks on some of the more squishier targets, they're in a good position to force out a support ultimate and then disengage. Here comes mafu, seeing if he could target that, I think, onto Soon, but doesn't really get value out of it. And AKM on the other side is ripping through them. 3 kills already, a 4th. He didn't even have the tactical visor for that. That was insane tracking. hymzi's found 2 in the backlines, but this is Rogue all the way.
Evisceration and Rogue. Right there, naming the remains of NIP on that one. It's going to go 2-1 here in this best of 5. God, it's so anticlimactic. They cut off the noise like that so quickly. I kind of like the gong, you know, that sound. Right.
Let's see what map the NIP get now. If they get Village again, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick the May again, even though Rogue might know they have May. Just because of the surprise factor. English.
Sorry, I got the same problem, bro. I'm Australian. It's not nearly the same. We saw mafu have attack visor forced out of him there, and just that last play with Soon pressuring him so much, and it seems like he wasn't really in position to capitalize on that as well. You can see Soon is such a pain.
That's really good timing as well, because AKM pushed him at the moment mafu was reloading. It was a matter of milliseconds. Otherwise, that fight could have gone either way.
Village, we're back on here. It's going to be the May to start with again. Now, Rogue at least should have a feeling with this, but this is strange for me. It is a Pharaoh with no mercy on Village.
I think they're anticipating the May. They realized that they were going to get locked off. They want to get the damage in anyway, and they know that they don't have the Tracer to try and put additional damage into them, but AKM's really not getting that much value out of it. And while he's flying around in the air, having a lovely time, the rest of his team is getting destroyed on the floor.
I mean, I would say that Pharaoh would be probably the least, dominant sort of pick in AKM's pool of heroes.
Especially if they know that hymzi plays a really good diva as well. I'm quite surprised.
Let's just hoovers that stuff up.
The plan was to keep them in the choke, but NIP just speeded out and gave the Pharaoh no easy splash damage.
And again, the May works out for the beginning portion. They're only up to 10% already. Looks like Rogue are attempting to get in. A lot of pressure being put onto Fragi here at the front. He's got the Harmony Orb on him though. And Zuppehw is the first to fall.
Soon waiting for his opportunity there. He was briefly walled out. That is, opportunistic. I think it's pretty safe to say he just pops out there and gets the extra damage across the line. He gets mafu and AKM combining very, very nicely as well. You can see the hit squad of Rogue was successful on that one. Soon waited for his chance to spring forth.
Let's see if NiP are able to recontest and take control. Last time they were able to get 70% completely free. They've had to switch the May off. Zappis again picking up the Tracer. Last time they were able to flip the point fairly successfully. Just brought all of the death ball down inside the point here on Village. But now they're only up to 26% and Rogue already drawing level.
Dragon Blade, surely it's got to be coming, and it does. Death taxes and NiCO Dragon Blade when there's people around him. There's things you can count on, but he hasn't found much with it so far. Fragi, it's like a gladiator battle there. I love that television show. I tell you what's nothing that NIP want to be seeing right now. NiCO doesn't get much with the Dragon Blade, in all fairness. Zuppehw doesn't seem to have achieved all that much with his Transcendence. Maybe he came in a little bit late in the fight. He's trying to turn it around, but soon was hot on his heels.
Really great patience from NiCO there. He pops the blade, he knows they have ultis. He just baits them out and he turns on Fragi, who's in a bad position.
They really didn't need to use Zuppehw's ultimate there, though, because hymzi had used his self-destruct, and that basically stops NiCO from being able to chase them anyway, because he doesn't want to go into that room and slice people in case he dies, like, midway through his Dragon Blade. But Zuppehw kind of got scared that he was going to commit anyway, and decided to pop both ultimates. And now Ninja's in a difficult position to retake, and Rogue have all those ults.
KnOxXx at least has sound barrier already. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see NiP play ahead of that one. Just KnOxXX just let it go. And again, scouting's pretty important here, though, as well, to find out where Rogue is if they want to get the best bang for their buck from the sound barrier before it expires. But we've got a Transcendence and a sound barrier on the side of Rogue to respond with. This Earth Shatter had best be huge.
Really difficult to make it work as well. Both teams just poking each other. They haven't actually started to commit yet. Both got the sound barriers, as you were saying. Those are going to be the first ones that come out. There was Fragi with the Earth Shatter. Did he catch anything?
No. I don't think so, no. I think he was hoping to catch maybe one of the Genzis on the high ground. The problem is with Reinhardt's changes now as well. You don't get caught from it at certain heights from the ground. I think it's like 2 meters now instead of 3.
Yeah.
So if you're used to them being a certain height and knowing you can shatter them, you might need to get used to it.
From the apex of your double jump as Genny, you don't get shattered anymore.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to shatter the Genny, but unfortunately he didn't get him.
I mean, that's Rogue. Like, they used just both of their support ultimates towards the end. There's nothing that NiP can do. They'd kind of